Welcome aboard, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Heavy Metal Truckers. We are your hosts. I am Pincushion, and this is Doppler. And in this video, we are going over the album, the latest album by My Dying Bride, A Mortal Binding. I think
Something,
it is.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, do you want to start off with telling the audience and the crowd that may or may not watch us how you got into My Dying Bride, or how you discovered them, rather?
They're a band I've known of, but I never got into them, mainly because I, for whatever reason, never really listened to doom metal, even though, to a large extent, it's kind of up my alley.
Very much so.
So I'd probably have heard 2 songs from them before this album, so, yeah. That's literally the extent of me with him.
So, as far as for me, I got into doom metal whenever November's Doom Blood White album came out, and from then I was hooked on, Doom, Death Doom, whatever. And so I would, at the time, whenever I didn't mind listening to playlists, I didn't mind listening to individual tracks, because these days I'm just primarily more into albums and the whole concept of everything. But whenever I would have playlists going, I did see My Dying Bride would come up, and they were just fucking incredible. They stood out from the rest of the pack, from Paradise Lost, obviously November's Doom, and one of the other big doom metal bands I can't think of right now. They're more modern ones, but yeah, they really stood out, and they had this very I almost want to say, even though this can be found in other doom metal, it's like gothic beauty to it, and so really enjoyed them. So that's how I kind of came across them. It was years ago. Anyways, I'll let you get into your overall review or whatever.
Anyway, alright, so did you bring up the track listing?
Oh no, I thought you were doing that on your phone.
Oh, no, I can.
You'd probably be able to see it better.
So, I went to this album, and I was actually kind of looking forward to it after our whole doom metal adventure.
Oh yeah, which only turned out like 1.5 out of 3 were good, if I remember correctly.
No, almost all the doom metal was good.
No.
You're
I'm
thinking
about
Death
the
Doom.
My
Yeah,
bad.
Death Doom was a little weak, but
Yeah.
no, the doom metal was good. I was gonna say there might have been 1 or 2 that we didn't like out of all the doom.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to this album, so I went into it with high hopes, and I kind of wish after listening to it I had gone into it with no hopes or just flat hopes, because I ended up actually being a little disappointed. The vocals were good. To me, they were probably the highlight of the album, but the music itself, I found it to be kind of bland, to be honest. Like, there was a couple songs in there, I think it was songs 2, 3, and 4, that they sounded the same to me, at least from a musical standpoint. I mean, there were some differences in there. Was it this album? I can't remember if it was this album or the other album that had the harmonizing. Do you remember? And it almost sounded like a Gregorian chant, but it wasn't.
Are you talking about between this and Dark Throne?
Yeah. Well, which album was that one?
I want to say it was probably more Dark Throne.
Okay, so it wasn't this one.
Yeah, not that I recall anyway. Sneak peek, spoiler alert for one of our next reviews.
I listened to the albums back to back, so there's
here.
yeah. But I do remember that I was disappointed because, like I said, songs 2 through 4, for the most part, sounded the same to me, and there wasn't a ton of there were some, but not a ton of variation, and it caused my ADD to cause my mind to wander, and I kept having to pull it back in. being like, nope, you need to pay attention. You need to pay you know, and you know, with doom metal, the songs are long. I think the shortest song in here was what, just under 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, the longest one was I think 11.
Yeah, which, talking about the longest one, the Apocalyptus or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, that was actually the best song on the album. That one actually had some variation to it. I liked a lot of what they did in that one. I kind of wish the whole album was like that one because it would have been a lot better for me. You know, but no, like the whole time I was listening to it, I felt like it felt very bland for me. I know probably people are gonna rag on me for that, but it did. It was like, I don't want to say it felt uninspired, but my ADD just kicked in. I don't know. So you have the headlights on, sir, even though we're sitting here. doing
Headlights aren't on. It's the just the general lights
Oh,
or DRLs.
the daytime running lights. But anywho, sorry. See, ADD. Right there, you just saw it.
I was trying not to laugh, but damn it.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. I ended up going away, and it didn't reach what I was hoping it was going to be when going into it, because I was looking forward to this one. And it just, I don't know. Other than the Apocalyptus, however the hell you say
Apocalyptist.
that. Okay, I was close. I keep feeling like I want to say, what's the word that's similar to it? I can't think. But anyway, yeah, just, I don't know. It felt, for me, it felt very bland, and my mind kept wandering. Like I said, the vocals were good. They were the highlight. And the album itself didn't have as much atmosphere as I thought it was going to have, too, which I found kind of disappointing. There was one or two songs that did. But as a whole, it didn't have as much as I was hoping. Which I think also played into it feeling a little bland for me. You know, it's definitely not an album I would probably listen to again, or I would go out and buy. It would be music I would put on if I'm doing something else and I need something playing in the background. Like, it's about as best as I can give to it. I mean, it's not a knock against them or anything. I mean, for what it was, you know, it was all right. But like when we went through and were listening to doom metal, there was definitely a lot of stuff that I enjoyed more than this. You know, I don't know if all their stuff sounds like this or not.
Breaking away a little bit, I was going to explain this in mine, but one of the things I had thought to do and I never did because I didn't think about it was, which I think this would be a good idea for like future album releases, listening to the previous album that was released before before whoever is coming out, listen to their previous album and then listen to the new album to see any kind of variations, or to see, like,
I mean, yeah, that could help with some with doing some reviews too, because they give you some comparison points.
Because
which I don't have any at all.
Yeah. And like, well, yeah, keep on going.
You know, and I remember a lot of these songs, like, they would start out good, but then it would just stay. Like,
Stagnate.
Yeah, for me, you know, which is where the blandness came in for me. Like, it just, I don't know. I ended up feeling disappointed by the end of it, and for me, I ended up giving it a 5.5. It was not my least favorite album we've listened to. That would still be Amaranth's album, because I gave that a 4.5 if you remember. That was a rough album.
Good for what it was,
I guess. Being a fan of that genre, it was not it was rough. But anyway, off track. ADD. You know, it just, it was probably up there with my second or third least favorite album we've listened to. Which part of that just because I had higher hopes going into it, which hurt it. But
so like I said, I wish I had listened to the previous album before I listened to this one. The intro of it was kind of interesting to me, and I can't remember exactly what made it interesting, but I can't remember because I just listened to it like 2 days ago, and now I can barely remember much from it. Not to say that it wasn't memorable, it's just mental exhaustion. But one of the things my biggest takeaways from this was, from my perspective, instrumentally, it wasn't just solid doom. That it was absolutely solid. It was fantastic, and I did notice that there was, I don't know if there was a string in it, or because I tried to listen to this several times, mainly because things got in the way or got sidetracked by something, but I swear in the first track it sounded like there were bagpipes.
There was, again, I listened to the albums back to back. There was one album, I don't know if it was this one. I think it was the Dark Throne album, but they used the brass instrument.
It was this album.
Oh, was this one?
Yeah, so
that was a high point then, like
okay,
more of that.
So funny thing. Whenever I heard the bagpipes, I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I don't recall hearing anything like that. If they were bagpipes, I have no fucking clue what they were. But later on, like as far as instrumentally, at the end, whenever they started putting in the brass, I had such mixed emotions about it, because for one thing, I'm thinking to myself, this is incredible how they're blending this kind of thing in. Like, it's great that they're experimenting, but on the other hand, I fucking hate this. Like, it doesn't fit. There were moments where it fit nicely, but in other times it's like they just got some brass player to go just play something in this, and he just did random shit, and I'm like, it was throwing off the instrumentals for me. I did not like it, with the exception of like the few moments that it had it, like where it kind of went along with stuff. So whenever it came in, like I said, very interesting that they incorporated that in, but if it was maybe done in an octave or two lower to match the rest of everything else, because it was just, the sound of it was not off key. It just didn't really match what all was the whole sonic balance of everything else.
See, for me, I actually liked it because it broke up that
the monotony.
Yeah.
And see, and this is why I think, like, us reviewing these things is very interesting, because we can create such stark contrasts.
Yeah.
I hate when I don't mind whenever the variation of monotony is changed up, but don't fucking do it for the sake of it. Like, and again, but then again,
See, for me, I felt like it fit and it flowed with the song, so I get what you're saying, and
yeah.
I would agree. Like, if it's abrupt, well, depends. If you do it well and it's abrupt, it can work. But if you don't, if you do it like you said, for the sake of doing it, it feels weird.
For like 70 to 80% of it, it did feel like that. It just felt like it was just tossed in and had no real direction.
Yeah, see, for me, it was the opposite. But you know, yeah.
Yeah. But so I did not care for that. But like this. The one thing I love about, who the fuck is this? What is his name? I can't, like, because he needs to be known. And everyone else is going to be like, seriously, you don't know his name? No, I don't.
I don't even know. What, you talking about somebody in the band?
Yeah, the vocalist.
Okay. I don't know his name. Like I said, I don't know.
Aaron Staithorpe. So, he is one hell of a vocalist, in that whenever he sang this, all it could remind me of was a charismatic narrator singing something, because the way, if you think to the film Nightmare Before Christmas and the kind of narration, what is Jack doing? And like, he's doing this but why? And just having that kind of personality into it. Aaron had that within his vocals, and it was like he was narrating the instruments, which, yeah, a vocalist is going to sing, but this was not necessarily just singing. This was narrating what the instruments were kind of telling, and it was so fascinating, and I loved every aspect. And even the more aggressive vocals that he had were just, again, they were so on point, but those vocals, they were beautiful. I loved them.
Yeah, like I said, the vocals for me were the highlight of the whole album.
Yeah. The midsection of everything was absolutely wonderful. It was solid doom, and it held what I love about doom. And doom is just this genre or subgenre that goes into more gothic subject matters and shows the beauty of it, or shows a kind of almost a reverence to it. And he did this so amazingly. And I just absolutely loved it. So like, I can't pinpoint exact tracks and what all they represented, even though some of them stood out to me more than others. But the Apocalyptist, yes, guys, that's gonna confuse the shit out of a lot of people.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe just us. But there was at least one or two moments whenever I checked to see if it was still on the same track. So I'm like, this thing is taking fucking forever.
Yeah, it was a long time,
And,
but it was good.
But then I remembered, oh wait, this is doom metal, so it's good. But see, I'm also, even within doom metal, some of them can be like anywhere between 5 and 8 minutes on average, but 11 minutes, I'm like, dude, you are stepping your toes into funeral doom at that point to me. But I mean, it wasn't a bad track by any means. It was wonderfully done. It's just I wasn't expecting it in a way, so it was a little interesting. But overall, with the exception of that goddamn brass at the end, I loved this album. And for that, like, I have to get it an 8.5. Again, I was gonna give it like a 9 to 9.5, but that fucking brass. And I'm sorry to you guys that are brass players or whatever, but
yeah, I liked it.
I was not a fan of it. But like, aside from that, it didn't do it all the way through. So I greatly enjoyed this album. It was just so much melancholy, and it was just trance-inducing. It was wonderful. And so, yeah, 8.5 for me on that. And I will sign off on my part. Is that it for this?
Yep.
Okay, well, until next time, guys, keep rolling heavy.